In the headlines, President Muhammadu Buhari launches project monitoring app iMark. Saudi Arabia restores 95,000 Hajj slots given to Nigeria before the COVID-19 pandemic. Central Bank raises cash withdrawal limits to 500,000 naira and 5 million naira for individuals and corporate bodies. And on the foreign scene, government force coup attempt in Gambia arrest 4 soldiers. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Nten Ekpan. And on the news in full, President Muhammadu Buhari on Wednesday launched the National Monitoring and Evaluation Platform called iMark. Buhari launched the project monitoring website www.imark.ng with its accompanying mobile app shortly before the weekly Federal Executive Council meeting at the council chambers of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The president noted that the federal government could no longer depend on its handful of monitoring and evaluation teams to oversee the vast number of infrastructure projects spread nationwide. He said since his regime has invested in infrastructure projects more than any other before, it is only fitting to create adequate avenues for close monitoring by citizens. He said this will close the existing gaps and promote citizens' participation in governance. The president said with iMark, the status of projects, total amounts appropriated and dispensed so far are now available in the public space. President Muhammadu Buhari has sent a supplementary budget of 819.5 billion naira to the Senate for approval. Buhari's request is contained in a letter read on the floor during Tuesday's plenary by the President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan. The report.
According to the letter, the sum is to fix road infrastructure damaged by flooding this year across the Federation, including the FCT. In the letter, the President stressed the need to complete 9 critical roads which had hampered the smooth movement of goods and services across the country.
This may compound the situation of food security and nutrition in the country. The flood also devastated the road infrastructure across the 36 states and the FCT that affected several sections of major roads and bridges nationwide that are critical for movement of goods and services. The waters affected by the flood, and there is the need to complete some ongoing critical projects that have achieved about 85% completion. The 9 critical projects proposed in the sector cut across water supply, dam projects, and irrigation projects nationwide. I have therefore approved a supplementary 2022 appropriation of 819 billion 536 million 937,813 naira, all of which are capital expenditure. The supplementary will be financed through additional domestic borrowings.
President Buhari's letter equally indicated that the supplementary budget will be financed from additional domestic borrowings. When approved, it is hoped that the supplementary budget will help ease the devastating effects on road infrastructure occasioned by flooding in some parts of the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari Wednesday evening received a presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress APC, Bola Tinubu, at his official residence in the State House, Abuja. Although the motive behind the meeting was not disclosed, Daily Trust learned that it focused on the ongoing APC presidential campaigns. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo had earlier paid a visit to Tinubu at his Abuja residence, and President Buhari told the visiting candidate that the APC campaigns have so far been the most aggressive in recent history compared to the opposition that he said seems to be playing catch-up. The president again expressed optimism that the party will win all the elections fairly and squarely. President Muhammadu Buhari says he is ready to campaign for the All Progressives Congress APC presidential candidate Bola Tinubu and other candidates of the party in the 2023 general elections. Presidential spokesman Garba Shehu, in a statement on Wednesday night, said the president is ready for the 2023 campaigns with full energy and conviction. Shehu said the announcement is to dispel concerns expressed in certain quarters that the president has not featured in campaigns since the national launch in Jos Plateau State. Speaking to the Nigerian community in Washington, D.C., in the course of his recent visit to the United States of America, President Buhari stressed what he said all the time, that he is ready to campaign for the party's victory in the general elections next year. He expressed strong optimism that the party will win all the elections. Nigerian women say they are being denied opportunities to actively participate in the nation's democratic process by blocking their chances of emerging as candidates in various electoral contests. A cross-section of women in Abuja supports the position of Women Affairs and Social Development Minister Pauline Tallen, alleging deliberate marginalization of women by political parties in decision-making. Shafiu Suleiman has that report.
There are a significant number of registered women voters ready to cast their votes in the next year's elections, as indicated by the current INEC registration database. However, only 11 women have secured tickets of 18 political parties to contest for senatorial and House of Representatives seats in Abuja. The nation's capital has only one senatorial and two federal constituency seats. Only Labour Party gave its senatorial ticket to a female candidate, Ireti Kingibe. Over the years, women have been crying marginalization in electoral contests and leadership opportunities, either by their male counterparts or political parties. This, they say, denies them active voice in the decision-making.
We don't have any achievement in the government. We are left behind, and we are the ones that counted their votes. So they should help us so that we can have our own representative there.
We, the women, will vote more than the men in politics. When you call 2 women, before you know, you see 10 or 100 women. But men, they are not coming out like women. So we need women in that position.
That is why we are putting our support for all the women, that the only one woman that is coming out. So we women here, we are going to put our support for her so that she can be there, then speak for us.
Their position re-echoes concerns raised by the Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Pauline Tallen, alluding to such marginalization.
I am using this medium to call on all well-meaning Nigerian women to support one another. We must support the women that are contesting, the few that have emerged. If we don't have women at the decision table, there's no way our laws can be better that will suit the family. Because whatever a woman does, she takes the interest of her children.
Women constituted majority of the voting population in Nigeria. As you can see behind me, they are in hundreds, queuing up, for support from their political party in terms of what some will term stomach infrastructure. They've been given mini bags of rice to support their families. But beyond this, women are said to have been marginalized, in terms of electoral contests. The number of women occupying elective political offices is low when compared to their voting population. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in Gombe State has warned politicians in the state against instigating violence in the build-up to the 2023 general elections. The INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner in that state, Umar Ibrahim, gave the warning during a press conference on Wednesday. Ibrahim Ismail has the reports.
Concerned about the peaceful conduct of the 2023 general elections in Gombe State, the Independent National Electoral Commission urged politicians to shun violence and run issue-based campaigns. This warning comes a week after structures were burnt down at the campaign office of the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in the state.
The accord has only captured the perpetrators of the crime and the punishment that we have been. But then now, since the Electoral Act has given us the power to prosecute even those that support or sponsor the perpetrators. So let them know that both the perpetrators and their sponsors are equally guilty by the Electoral Act, and it will be captured in the accord. And as I said, this morning we had interstate excess meetings, and this issue has been trashed seriously, and definitely there will be change by the grace of God.
In preparation for the election, the electoral umpire said it received a total of 2,988 bimodal voter accreditation system BVAS machines and other non-sensitive materials.
The state has started receiving non-sensitive materials ranging from INEC bags, ballot boxes, sleeping mats, etc. for the 2023 general elections. And all our stores have been evacuated to enable them receive election materials as they come. We have also received our BVAS, that is Bimodal Voter Authentication System. As I said earlier on, we have 2,988 polling units in Gombe State. So the number of BVAS we have collected so far is exactly 2,988. So we have the full complement of the BVAS we need for the 2023 general elections.
Gombe recorded 181,331 new voters registrations in the recently concluded exercise. However, there are 231,900 uncollected voters cards, including leftovers from 2019. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
The Kwara State Police Command has arrested 5 members of 2 different gangs of kidnappers in the state. According to the police, the suspects had been terrorizing Eruku and Orago in Ekiti and Ife-Odun local government areas. Speaking with journalists during their parade on Wednesday, the State Commissioner of Police Paul Odama said the command was on the trail of fleeing suspects. Ammunition and ransom collected from their victims. The suspects were identified as Babangida Bugudu, 30, Bashiru Yakubu, 35, and Mohammed Umar, 26, as well as Garba Abubakar, popularly known as Elero of Lokogoma village, and Abubakar Adam. The police boss, who described the breakthrough as one of his happiest days since he resumed in the state, said the suspects had confessed to having killed one Inspector Shegun Ayebulu of the NSCDC attached to Ekiti State Command. He said exhibits found on them included 2 locally made guns and 2 telephone handsets. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has announced that it will restore the 95,000 Hajj slots given to Nigeria before the COVID-19 pandemic. The Assistant Director, Information and Publications of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Musa Obandawaki, in a statement on Wednesday, stated that the position was made known by the Director General in charge of Saudi Arabia's Hajj missions, the Ministry of Hajj and Umrah, bin Yusuf Al-Wani. Al-Wani, during a preparatory meeting for the 2023 Hajj season via a video conference with the chairman and CEO of NARCON, Zukrullah Kunle Hassan, added that guidelines released for the 2023 Hajj by the ministry included the removal of the age barrier or limit and cancellation of PCR tests. The ministry stated that henceforth any payment to service providers must be made through the e-track or e-wallet platforms, as the kingdom will no longer take responsibility for payment outside the 2 platforms. In its response, the NARCON boss appreciated the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia for the early preparation and restoring the country's Hajj allocation. You're watching News Update on Trust Television. Coming up after the break, developing survival instincts against rising living costs. Please stay with us. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story. Welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, you're watching Trust TV News Update, a recap of our top stories. President Muhammadu Buhari launches project monitoring app known as iMark. And Saudi Arabia restores 95,000 Hajj slots given to Nigeria before the COVID-19 pandemic. Moving to other stories now, the House of Representatives has begun moves to criminalize the practice of female genital mutilation, FGM, with the proposal of a 5-year jail term for offenders. A bill to that effect scaled through the second reading at the lower chamber on Wednesday. The bill, which is sponsored by Representative Ganiyu Johnson, is intended to amend the Violence Against Persons VAP Prohibition Act 2015 to increase the penalty for the offense of female genital mutilation. The bill proposed an imprisonment term of 5 years or a fine not exceeding 1 million naira for any person who performs female genital mutilation or engages another to carry out such acts. According to lawmakers, an amendment of the said Section 6 will go a long way in deterring persons from engaging in the unwholesome practice of female genital mutilation. And as rising cost of living puts a strain on households, individuals are increasingly cutting spending to survive the difficult moment amid dwindling incomes and surging prices. And some Yola residents share their experiences with Salis Lawan on how the cost of living is affecting their marriages, as well as what they are doing differently to sustain their lives ahead of the Christmas and New Year celebrations. The report.
Economically, most Nigerians are currently struggling to feed their families as a result of the high cost of living occasioned by inflation. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, food inflation is at 14-month high, hitting 22.0% in July, while headline inflation accelerated to 19.64%. The situation, many say, has put a strain on families and leads to unpleasant scenarios among couples.
Mu ci gaba da rayuwa da haka, mu ga abun da Allah zai yi mana, komi yana da ƙarshe ba abun da ya zo dawwama.
Things have gone beyond the reach of the common man. I got separated from my wife because we could barely feed.
In ba mu manta ba, ai kusa yi babban zabe. Ina ba da shawara.
We have a very big task ahead of us as Nigerians, and that is the 2023 election. It is critical because if we vote the right persons, I believe that such credible leaders will bring an end to these economic challenges. Some Yola residents believe the solution lies in prayers and election of good leaders as a way of addressing the crisis between couples as the result of the high cost of living in the country. Religious leaders admonished Nigerians to be steadfast and trust God as the situation is temporary.
Having high cost of living or lower cost of living all depends is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is every need religiously we should go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should in as much as human beings are the ones that coordinates their lives on earth, but the super being, that's God himself, is the one who directs things.
That the cost of living actually affected many homes. We cannot deny the fact that the economy has affected many homes. Some women have got divorced to their men, and men divorced their wives because they cannot catch up with them any longer. Let us manage our home, our little resources.
They advocated for continuous availability of food at affordable prices for all. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
And on transportation, the Lagos State government on Wednesday flagged off the Lagos Light Rail, which is expected to convey 250,000 passengers daily from Mile 2 to Marina in its effort to improve transportation system in that state. Abdul Latif Ali reports that the Blue Line project is coming on stream 42 years after the project was conceptualized during the administration of the first civilian governor of the state, Latif Jakonde. The report.
With the completion of the civil work on the first phase of the 27-kilometer rail route, which covers Mile 2 to Marina, the state government did a test run of the project ahead of the commissioning by President Muhammadu Buhari in January 2023. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, alongside other stakeholders, including the representatives of the contractor, the China Engineering and Construction Corporation, CCECC, members of the State Executive Council took a ride for the test run of the project.
Members of the State Executive Council that have turned up here in large number, thank you very much. You are indeed the people that have also made it happen. There have been several push from you, but I want to also acknowledge your colleagues, the Commissioner for Transportation, Dr. Fred, and the Special Advisor on Transportation, for their own personal doggedness.
Chairman of the CCECC Nigeria Limited, Zhang Zicheng, stated that the commencement of the operation of the Blue Line project will definitely write a new chapter for the transportation of Lagos.
With great joy, we are here to witness the completion of the Lagos Blue Line Phase 1, which is an important milestone for the project. Over the years, with the continued support from Your Excellency, the Lagos State Government, and the people of Lagos, and the joint efforts of relevant stakeholders, we finally arrived at this completion day.
The Managing Director of the Lagos Metropolitan Area Transport Authority, LAMATA, Abimbola Akinajo, disclosed that the rail project will move no less than 250,000 passengers daily, while the entire line, when completed, will move more than 500,000 passengers.
So what this means is that in terms of all of the civil infrastructure work, it's complete. So what we're going to start doing now, like Mr. Governor said in his speech, we're going to start doing testing of all of our processes. We're going to work very closely with NRC, who are the regulators of railway systems in Nigeria.
The Blue Line is one of the 6 rail lines articulated in the Lagos State Strategic Transport Master Plan, which the former governor, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, developed.
The federal government on Wednesday said the pledge to complete the narrow gauge Eastern Railway corridor before the end of the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is no longer feasible. The Minister of Transportation, Muazu Jaji Sambo, stated these while fielding questions from State House supporters after the Federal Executive Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. The former Minister of Transport, Rotimi Amechi, had said that the Port Harcourt-Maiduguri line will be delivered before the end of the tenure of the present administration. It will be recalled that President Buhari had 2 years ago performed the groundbreaking of the $1.96 billion rail line project meant to further stimulate economic activities in 14 states it covers. But speaking on it during the post-FEC briefing, Sambo said financing the project had become a challenge as the federal government had not been able to obtain the foreign counterpart funding embedded in the project, making it impossible to fund it as earlier envisaged. The Central Bank of Nigeria has increased the weekly cash withdrawal limit for individuals to 500,000 and 5 million naira for corporate bodies. A statement from the Director of Banking Supervision, Haruna Mustafa, says the upward review takes effect from January 9, 2023. Mustafa said requests for legitimate withdrawals beyond the reviewed figures will attract a processing fee of 3% and 5% for individuals and corporate bodies. The CBN noted that it recognizes the vital role cash plays in supporting underserved and rural communities and assured that it will ensure an inclusive approach as it implements a more cashless policy. On the foreign scene, Gambia's authorities have foiled a military coup attempt and arrested 4 soldiers plotting to overthrow President Adama Barrow's administration. In a statement, the Gambian military said it is in pursuit of 3 other alleged accomplices while investigations are continuing. There were no details on whether the coup attempt was linked to the previous government. Coup attempts are not uncommon in the Gambia, a tiny West African country of 2.5 million, almost entirely surrounded by Senegal, which is still reeling from more than 2 decades under former President Yahya Jammeh, marked by authoritarianism and alleged abuses. Jammeh himself seized power in a coup in 1994 and forced several attempts to overthrow him before he lost an election in late 2016 to Barrow. And for some sports news now, Nigeria's Asisat Oshoala scored a brace as Barcelona women defeated Rosengard 6-0 to take their group goals tally to 29, their highest in Champions League history. Oshoala needed just 10 minutes to score her first goal. The Super Falcons attacker then completed her brace in 6 minutes. Barcelona finished top of Group D with 15 points, the same as Bayern Munich, who have an inferior goal difference. Oshoala has scored 4 goals and provided 2 assists in the 5 Champions League matches she has played. And with that, we've come to the end of News Update this hour. Before we go, remember to connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Niten Ekpamini. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.